Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos, but as we get closer to the holiday season, when we celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving and Black Friday, for some of us, it's that festive time of year, yes. Hi, Mr. Elf. His name is Shaky Elf. I think we know why. And I brought my festive mistletoe, and now it's gone. But I'm here to bring you some information for those of you who are interested in looking for board games that are exciting and new and might be something you want on your list or you might want to get for a friend who's into board gaming this year. Last year I did a couple top 10s based on the complexity of the games. This year I'm going to simplify and simply give you a list of my top 10 games of the year in order of complexity. So the games I first introduce are going to be easy, and I'm going to get to some of the ones that might be out of your comfort range, but are still fantastic games. All of these games came out either this year or late last year, and so let's get Mr. Elf going to his first selection of game. Number 10, Patchwork. Patchwork is a two-player game about building quilts. And it seems sedate, like it would be just a jolly little fun puzzly game, and in some degrees it starts that way. But once you learn to play it, you get a little bit cutthroat, and pretty soon your quilt is more important than your opponent's. It's a two-player game, very spatial. You're getting little, almost Tetris pieces, and you're placing them in organization and shape. Money is tight. Money is in the form of buttons. Buttons are your currency, and at the end of the game, whoever has the most buttons is number one. Great game, doesn't take much at all to learn how to play it. Recommended for people as a nice easy game to start with. So that's number 10. Number 9 is America. Now, I'm not a big trivia fan guy, because to me trivia is just what you know and what you don't, and there's little skill in that per se. This changes that. This is a line of games. They had flora and fauna, and now they've got America. Now, this is all about American trivia. Now, I like America, so I probably know a lot of these, but in this party game, the style is that you don't have to know the answers to the trivia questions. You just have to try and figure out who you think knows the answers, and then you can try and like make your guesses in proximity of that person, and like sort of like hitch your train, hitch your ride to that person's answers and go, I think you know the answer. You seem pretty confident. So you've placed your piece on the answer you think it is. I'm going to put one next to it. And I will get partial credit if he's right. And if I think nobody's right, and I think everybody's missed this question, but I don't know what its answer is, I can even try that route too. And so it's a little bit of like guess who's around you more than it is the trivia. Now, if you know the trivia, that's great. But if not, then this is a party game that isn't going to leave like the smart dudes who happen to know that particular vein of information, while the rest are like, I don't know, I don't give a where's the snack bar. So anyway, number 9, America. Number 8, Fabled Fruit, just released, came out 2 weeks ago. This game is interesting because you are basically playing a game of card collection. You're collecting fruits, various patterns of fruits, and you lay those fruits out in a pattern to collect cards, certain special power cards. So you have one, you pick one of these animals, and those animals go onto a card that's got a special thing they want you to do, like, hey, grab a banana or draw 2 cards from the fruit pile. The goal is always the same. Grab, like every special card has a certain sequence of fruits, like a jackpot machine, like plum, banana, whatever. And if you can collect those 3 cards of those fruit kinds, well, you get that card as a trophy. You get 5 trophies, you win the game. Now, what's incredibly unique about this is that the game doesn't end when you're done winning or losing a game. The game actually progresses. There are actually hundreds of different cards, all in a sequential stack. When you play this first game, all of those cards that you bought that had those special powers, out the door. Off and gone to somewhere else. They're out of the game, literally, for the rest of your play sessions. And you will play 20, 30 games of this and not get through all those cards. All the cards, they just, you start the next game where you left off on the last game. Now, you could always, if you decide, hey, let's just reboot and start from scratch, start again and say, okay, start with card 1 up to card 240. But that's the interesting thing, is that the cards get more complex over the time, but gradually. This is a great game to say, you know what, let me introduce you to some board games that are a little bit above the style of Monopoly, Clue, and And let me start you light, and then over time the cards get a little bit more tricky, but it's so subtle and so mild that they won't feel like they're just being thrown into this complex game they can't get their head around. It's delightful. We're several games into this already, and it's very clear that the game is very stylish, very creative, very charming with the animals and the fruits, but ultimately just the fact that when you're done with the game, that state is removed and you start off with the next set of cards, and you just keep playing and playing this 20-30 game session. Really good, really good. So that's my number 8 game. Number 7, Oceanos. Another great game that's very simple to play. You are building a submarine and going to hunt for treasure in the ocean. Jules Verne kind of thing. Everything here is charming. The artwork is charming. The submarines are big, huge cardboard submarines. You upgrade your submarines over time based on cards you play, and you're going to play you're building your own personal ocean of a 4 cards, 4 cards, 4 card matrix. And how you lay out those cards will earn you certain points and give you certain powers to be able to upgrade. There's 1 or 2 rules in here that are kind of a little esoteric that might trip up really casual folks, but that's it. Otherwise, the whole of this game is just the sum of it is just fantastic. Lots of color, lots of style, lots of pizzazz. Real easy. 15 minutes to play, and everyone goes away going, yeah, that was pretty cool. No one gets left behind. The scores stay really close, but it's just really charming. Just a nice game. That's number 7. Now, notice they're getting more complex, so I'm heading into some games that aren't going to be easy, casual, hey, let's do this. But if you know someone who knows Dominion, or plays Carcassonne, or Catan, or some of those names around, these kind of games could be a real bonus to them to be able to kind of get involved and learn about some of the great game changes and the great improvements that have been made in the realm of board gaming over the last several years. So now we have Clank. Now, Clank is they call it a deck building adventure, but what they really mean by that is you are starting off with a certain set of cards, and these cards are adventure cards. You have a card that says, hey, move 1 place in the dungeon. Now, I should explain, there is a dungeon that everybody's going to navigate through following different patterns. They can only go certain directions, or they can cross through to different caves and caverns on this big map board, and they use the cards in their deck to make those choices. They can, a movement card lets them move into one area. There's attack cards that let them attack. There's purchase sections where you can purchase things. The idea is to get down, get a big treasure, and get as much treasure as you can, and make it all the way back up to the surface. Now, everybody is affected by the big angry dragon that's in here, and the dragon doesn't like people in his lair. So everybody's contesting themselves, but they're also contesting against the dragon. And the Clank part is that certain cards, when played, make noise, and those sounds can wake up the dragon and cause things to happen. There's different cards that you can collect over time and buy that will make your deck more powerful. Like instead of moving once, you move twice. Or you can attack for more power and get even more powerful cards. It's a little generic the way I'm describing it, but actually it's a lot of fun. Once you play it, you will probably want to play it again right away, because it is a hoot, and it's just, yeah, it's a great number 6 on our list. 6. Number 5. Epic Western. Tiny Epic Estern. Okay, Tiny Epic Estuary. This Western game is probably the most compact, big old saloon gunfighting, gun-toting, land-stealing, land-grabbing, varmint kind of game you'll ever play. This box, when you lay it out on the table, takes up the entire table. They have packed, I mean literally packed, stuff into this. This is like a suitcase a really good packer put together. In this game, you're playing a little game of poker. There's a little game of mini poker, and based on how you play that poker game against other people, you can take control of other territory, other sections of the city that you lay out. You can build up kind of a different variety of ways to earn points. You can do a little bit of fighting per se, but this one is a little more. I wouldn't recommend this, even though it seems small and it's got Western theme. It tends to start getting a little more complicated, but I really like it. It's great solo, and it's great with up to 5 players. So definitely check this one out if you have it. It just came out as well, about $20–25. So that is what we got for number 5. Number 4. Battle Cruisers. Now this game is about 15 to 20 bucks and worth every penny every single time I lay it out. I've done a review of this already on a different video, but I wanted to remind people that this game is just really fast, 5 to 10 minute game that plays differently every single time. You have a hand of cards for your battleship, and you basically playing cards against other people. Now, if anybody plays the same cards, something bad happens, but if we all play different cards, then everybody resolves the cards that they're playing, and some of those cards can be things like shield yourself from any damage that comes up, or attack everybody for 1 point of damage, or collect 4 victory points, or swap cards with another player, or there are 20-25 different card sets of 6 cards that for every game. And so you literally can go through 20-25 different variations of cards and never see the same game twice. This is a steal of a deal at 10 to 15 bucks. If you find this anywhere and you get a group around, once they play this, they're going to want to play it again. It is the Pringles chips of Christmas gifts. No one can play just one. So that's our number 4 game. And now we're on to kind of the top 3 before we get to the Grand Champion. The Grand Champion is a game that everybody should just get. Number 3. Scythe. Now the artwork is beautiful, but great. Fortunately, the game itself is also really tight, really good. It's an area control game. Imagine Risk with agriculture and mechs that takes place in the 1920s. Is that surreal or what? It's a strange amalgamation of different things, but it works wonderfully. The artwork, you want to dive into the board. It's just so gorgeous. But more importantly, the game plays very well and very smoothly. I've introduced this to quite a few different groups, and all of them take a few minutes to learn, takes a couple rounds, and then they get it, and they're on it. It's not like Risk. You're not climbing across the board to attack everybody. Attacking can be just as detrimental as not attacking, depending on the circumstance. Every character, every time you play, you take a different kind of board and a different character, and so there's a lot of variety to the game. This is the hotness of the year. This game is sold like hotcakes. And they've just done a second reprinting, so it's now possible to get this game in stores again, whereas it wasn't. But if you get a chance to get this, it's probably the best area control fighting Risk type game that you can play in about an hour and a half, literally. And 2 players great, 3 players great, 4 players great, 1 player is even great. So definitely check it out. Scythe. Number 2. The Gallerist. Does this look like artwork or what? This box tells you nothing about the game, but the Gallerist is a big behemoth, almost biggest game in my collection, about basically running an art gallery. Now it's complicated. It's really complicated for the average gamer. I know some board gamers are like, it's really not that bad and it flows and that's great, but no, once you set it up, you're like, okay, this is complicated. It takes a while to learn. It's not for the faint of heart. This is for your gamers that are like, I've got every game in the universe. But in this game, this is so exquisite. I mean, it's really exquisite. All these pieces and all these mechanisms that you can see on the board. You've got art galleries here. You've got your international market. You've got your art displays. You've got I'm not even going to begin to explain it to you because it's honestly just mighty. This is a mighty game. Why do I like it? Because once you do learn it, it's so smooth and so indicative of what you think the art world is like. And actually, even some artists are like, the elements there kind of do represent a lot of the things that art gallery people will have to deal with. And it's classy, it's clever, it's got good packaging, it's expensive. So if you get some Amazon credit, you might get it down to 50 bucks, but if you find it for 50 bucks, you're probably going to get it for about half what it normally runs. Once again, it too has a decent single player variant if you just want to play it by yourself, but it doesn't look like it would be a lot of people will be like, this looks kind of like artsy fartsy, and it kind of is, but it's not. It's actually really well done. And so that's our number 2. Now my dear Elfkin is ready to show the number 1 game that we think is an awesome Christmas gift. Probably like I got my son a motorcycle kind of level of awesome for board gamers. Board gamers, not so much motorcycles as they are like awesome board games. But this is the mother of all daddy, granddaddy games. This is the one where if you get this for someone, they are going to be amazed and it's going to be awesome. And that is Mechs and Minions. Now let me explain this game. This game was a labor of love by a computer game company, Riot Games, known for League of Legends, for those of you in the computer game circle. This sucker is the most obvious labor of love I've ever received. Everything about this game is exquisite. And I don't mean just kind of exquisite. It is exquisite to the exponentially polished degree. The box is insanely well constructed. The manuals, insanely well done. Each section of the insert, each piece of the hundreds of pieces in this box is fashioned and crafted with unique inserts, unique artwork, painted miniatures, painted everything. You've got like just ornate pieces, metal coins, special, so special. These are the little guys you fight with. And here's the kicker, the game is actually awesome. The game is what they call a programming game. And on it, you are basically setting up your moves ahead of time, executing the moves, and then other people can mess with it, or the game can mess with it. This is actually cooperative, so everyone's working together to beat the minions, because you're the mechs, and they're the minions, and see how that goes? Every mission that you go on, congratulations, I love this. It's just style. Every mission you go on has a special packet, sealed, that you open and play through the several missions. When you're done, you can continue to play. There's plenty of gameplay value from this. But this sucker, for $75, admittedly, it's a lot of money, but you are not going to find better components. They did not make money on this. This was a labor of love. 30,000 copies were made, and the second print run is coming up soon. So, Mechs vs. Minions is the top game of the year for me to recommend to people who are really into games. You will not be disappointed with this game. This game is a treasure. This is the one you put in the safe. And that's it for our top 10. Now I have one more game that I'd like to explain to people, because this is a game that I think everyone should have. It's a grand champion only because of how it's been received absolutely uniformly, positively and enjoyably, and that is this little game called Celestia. Now this is a reprint of it. A lot of people don't know that there was a version of it before, but Celestia is frankly a game that uniformly appeals to all different age groups, young and old, left, right, tall, short, whatever. Celestia is a little push your luck game about being in a giant floating bathtub. Okay, it's actually a blimp it's up in the clouds. Now you have different places, and you're basically going from place to place, from the easy place to the more difficult place, and you're playing cards to keep that blimp going forward. Now everybody takes their turn, and they're laying out cards, and people are taking risks. Like certain locations require rolling the die, and you'll go, okay, I need 2 suns and a lightning, or I need 2 clouds and a lightning, or 1 sun, 1 cloud, and lightning. And I'm not explaining well, but I'm doing my best. But as you go around the table, you're like, I can either play these cards, or does anybody want to jump off? In other words, if people don't think I have the cards in my hand to play, then they have to jump off. But if they jump off, and I do have those cards, we go to the next level up. And that level has a reward when you jump off. Every time you jump off, you take whatever reward is at that place you left. If you jump off right away, every time on the ship, you're going to get little measly 1, 2 point, like, victory point cards. But if you go to the 8th or 9th, you're going to get like 20, 25 point cards. So it's a matter of, okay, at what point do I feel like we're all going to crash? Because if it ever goes around where someone doesn't have the cards of the dice roll to be able to move the ship, everybody crashes, nobody gets anything. And so this is a big risk your luck kind of thing. There's certain extra cards in there that give you little abilities. There's one of my favorites, and one of the kids' favorites is the one that says, I'm booting you out anyway. even if you want to stay on, I'm booting you out. And that's when you have a lot of cards and you think you could go far and you want to kick them off right away so that you can get this nice big bonus point while they get the piddly little 1.2 one. The artwork is glorious. It's whimsical, and the gameplay itself is about 15-20 minutes, thereabouts. The box says 30, but I haven't seen it go that far because people know what they're doing. You're guessing, all the elements of guessing other people, taking a risk. Oh, darn it, if only I'd stayed on the ship, or I should have jumped off last time. Those angst moments are what make this game really fantastic. My son likes it, my daughters like it, my wife likes it, I like it, our game group likes it. Elderly people like it. It's a very well received game that if you want to say, you know what, let's play something delightful for 20-25 minutes, you could put this and give this to pretty much anybody on the planet other than like a hardcore war gamer, and they're going to enjoy it and they're going to have a good time with it. And cost wise, once again, it's around the $20 cost point, but you know, it's a fun thing to play at the table on Christmas Day. It's a fun thing to take out whenever you've got friends over. I you know, for those of you who have them. But I really, really like it, and I recommend it to anyone. This is the game to recommend of the year. It might not be the most elegant, it might not be the most complicated, it might not be the most expensive or well-produced, but it is the one that has resonated globally, per se, in my circles. And I go with several circles, and it's been a real gem. So there you have it. That's our top 10 plus one games that I recommend for people for Christmas this year. If anybody has any additional questions, or they have a game they wanted to ask about or whatever, feel free to leave comments and let me know. I love to research games and kind of help people out. This is kind of my passion. You know, my primary passion is, you know, the furthering the work of Jesus Christ. You know, but as a hobby, I do like, you know, this is where I take the pleasure from, and watching people enjoy time around the table, time gathering together, doing something. As a you know, PC game developer, you know, I've helped for, you know, 20 some odd years now, making PC games and helping people find enjoyment in different venues, online, multiplayer games of a sort. But nothing just gives me the satisfaction of having people around a table playing and having a good time. And I hope you can find that this Christmas season. So God bless you, and we'll see you next time on Harebrained Games.